I'll move on to the next submission. So thank you, Colin. And the next submission is Little Andromeda, Michael Bell. And I think, Michael, you're on their audio visual link, and there you are. That was just awesome, as I said your name. And I think, is Nathaniel going to join us here?
Yeah.
So, and Nathaniel's going to come down to the front of the room.
Anna, before we start, I just have these to hand out for your friends.
Oh, well, somebody can come and collect those and circulate
just
them
the plans that Audrey was talking about for the arts precinct.
Great. Sorry?
You do, but this way you can share them with your friends and family. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It's got a bit easier with paper, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
But I think Michael was going to take it away, and then I was.
Michael, would you like to take it away?
Cool. All right. Kia ora, everyone. Hi. Hello. Thanks for having us. Also, a big, huge thank you about your decision about the Wilson's car park and the car park that is so karpai. Thank you. And we're here tonight to help you fill that site now that it's empty again. So I'll skip the details on this to keep it brief, but do ask whatever you want at the end of this. So we're asking you to please put aside 2 to 4 million in the next budget for a temporary outdoor performance space and arts playground. This facility will service conservatively tens of thousands of people, but probably more in a significant way each year. But the footfall will be literally hundreds of thousands. And you could build it lots and lots of times for the price of just one town hall or stadium cost overrun. Essentially, it's glorified landscaping, and this can be done all at once, and you can do it while the court's being built. Just a few cheap things will go a long way. So there's an amphitheatre for use by existing festivals, existing street performers, and new uses. As I think Jeff or Audrey said before, just the things that come out of the woodwork is definitely something that we've all seen. When you build it, it's amazing what else starts happening. Surrounded by this art promenade, which hides the portacoms or prefabs for the studio use and rehearsal. Actually, I'll just skip through this because Audrey's already talked about this. She might not have mentioned the food truck and the market area. Just a place for cheap eats and for pop-up markets, basically. And something I'm really excited about is a box office / ticket agency, which is run by artists. So with not such a focus on getting commission, but more a focus on connecting tourists and locals with the right experience. So I think this is like a huge advertising opportunity to connect people with the awesome arts around town that aren't quite as obvious to the lay person. And pedestrianising Gloucester Street. Making Tuaranga flow naturally into the 129 Gloucester into the 129 Gloucester site. So kind of making Gloucester Street a lot like New Regent Street is. And Gloucester Street is about to be redone. So just do it all together, design it all together, plan it together, and save money. I see this as a really cheap and effective bed warmer. So get performing artists in, let us give the city a great return, and in 20 or 30 years' time, someone who might not even be born yet can come along with a new idea for this prime land that us oldies haven't even thought of, and then it's their turn to have a swing. I spend a lot of time in other cities, in other countries, and I can't stop observing what makes places cool. Wellington's waterfront is cool. Federation's Square is cool. Circular Quay is cool. Brisbane's Performing Arts Precinct is cool. They're areas that have, there's been good thought put into the outdoor vibe, but it's not just about being cool. When tourists tell their friends that Christchurch is cool to walk around, they're the people that will come and inject money into our economy and make our economy cool. How much money will it inject? I'm just asking myself that question. Little A did an audience survey a couple of years ago and found that 92% of our audiences spent money at local hospo joints during their trip to come into the theatre. There are too many factors to say precisely how much money an amphitheatre will inject into the local economy. However, even if you make the most conservative assumptions, we're still looking that it would pay for itself into the economy several times over and be a huge asset for the surrounding theatres, New Regent Street, and the city. I'll pass over to Nathaniel.
Great, kia ora. Thanks, Michael. So I'm Nathaniel. My day job is for working for the Living Wage Movement as a community organizer, but I'm here more just in a personal capacity as someone who loves the arts and loves the city and really wants to see the arts thrive here. So first of all, I just want to thank you all for being here because it's been a huge day of many days. It's past 7 already and you're still working, so I really appreciate it. And you do that because you want to create a plan that's valuable and that incorporates everyone's ideas, and hopefully that will actually be acted upon. And I'm sure you'd all find it very frustrating if, after all this work and all these late days, you came up with a plan that was never followed afterwards. So with that in mind, I just want to go through some points from the plan from a few years back called Rebuilding the Central City with the Performing Arts, the vision for the Performing Arts Precinct. So this was written, I think, around 2017. And it was the initial vision for this area and what you all wanted it to be like. So as I read this, I just want you to think about the Performing Arts Precinct as it is now, with the Court Theatre being built, the Isaac Theatre Royal, the piano. And I want you to think about whether it meets the vision that you set out a few years ago, and if not, whether another idea, something like this, could meet that vision. So I'm just going to go through some quotes from that plan. A good balance of distinctive performing arts plus other uses not relating to performance. An innovative, more experimental approach to performing arts. A place to which the arts community and the people of Christchurch are strongly connected. A workplace as much as a public realm. Create an environment that is inclusive. Connected and related activity to other centres for creative production and consumption. So we're talking about a place that's public, that's not just about venue patronage, that's about creating, and a place that's connected to other areas in the city. And you also talked in this plan about how to do this. Providing a range of appropriate spaces to fit in the gaps in the current matrix of facilities in Christchurch. And that's something that Audrey talked a lot about, filling in gaps. And similarly, a good placemaking, this is a direct quote, good placemaking is supported by offering 10 or more reasons for people to come and visit the place. So in my view, the Arts Precinct at the moment is beautiful. It has some wonderful venues, but it doesn't do these things that are in your plan. And this space does. Just by looking at this first slide, you can see 10 different things that you can use the space for. You can look at gallery space. You can visit the dance studio. You can do pottery workshops in the portacoms. You can do co-working. You can find places to get tickets for shows locally. You can hang out in the Waio pods. You can watch buskers. You can go to food trucks. You can go to the market area and you can have a picnic in the grass. That's 10. The space, this concept we have, it's built for visitors, for tourists, but it's also built for residents, for the growing population in the center of the city. Because these portacoms and the dance studio will be spaces for the residents of the central city as well to use as a community art space for things like children's workshops, art studios, pottery, that sort of thing. And also for workers in the central city to have after work adult education workshop opportunities. It's also a foothold for arts organizations in the CBD. A lot of the arts organizations in the city, they're spread out in this donut shape around the outside. And even if they're really active in their own communities, they don't have that sense of an art scene that is Christchurch wide where they can all come together. And that's what this space is for. It's a space that feels inclusive. It's low scale, it's green, it's not all glass and steel. It's much sort of lower down, it's approachable. And we have things like, a volleyball pit and table tennis tables and food trucks, things that really invite people into the space. And to putting this proposal together, Michael and I talked to lots of people all across the city to get ideas. It's not just our idea. So just for an example of that, I talked to the Christchurch Youth Council, and some things they were really passionate about was having spaces where safe spaces for young people, like youth venues at night. And they suggested making the stage area the amphitheatre be enclosed a bit so it was easy to control people coming in and out, so that you could have high school bands, for example, playing here in spaces where you could control who can come and go. They also suggested that they'd want to have a place where they could do youth markets, like craft markets and things. So we've made that a possibility in the food truck area. And also they really wanted to be able to have band rehearsal space, particularly like lower income families where there's just no space at home to practice. And that's something we could do with the portacoms. And some other really important links with other things in the city. The Canterbury Museum, as you all know, is probably going to be in redevelopment soon. They'll need pop-up exhibition space, and they'll need also space for their children's programs, and this is an option for that. Really a perfect option right next to the library. It provides spaces for community arts organisations like Ōtautahi Creative Spaces and like the White Room, and you'll be hearing from Josiah from the White Room soon. And of course, the amphitheatre will just be amazing for festivals, things like Big Band Festival, which I think you'll be hearing from someone about, things like Rockquest, Tiny Fest, Buskers. There's just so much that can be done here. So finally, I just want to say I see this as being a place that's the heart of the Christchurch arts community. Place where artists can meet, where they can meet with other citizens, with visitors, with tourists. It's an inclusive space. There's space for young people, for families, where people can do whatever they want. They can eat, they can socialize, they can study, and it'll be a place for people in the central city to feel at home as well. So please do it. Please take this idea seriously and run with it and work with us. Please don't let it just be another vacant lot in the city. We've got huge community support, and we can do it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I guess, I mean, well, I'll let Tim, I was going to reframe Tim's question, so to actually put it to perhaps both of you. But I mean, I'll let Tim ask the question himself.
Well, I may ask a different question.
Oh, well, let me reframe your question then, which is, Tim made the point that we've got a lot of spaces at the moment which are really struggling. So how do we and I know that this is targeted to a different market, but how do we address that? So I think one of the earlier submitters made the point that this is adding to and creating a sense of focus on the performing arts generally, which should increase numbers overall. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. I just want you to really focus on justifying expenditure, even if it's temporary or transitional, when so many other venues exist in the area and are really struggling to make ends meet.
I could talk to that a bit. Yeah. Can you see me, or am I hiding behind the PowerPoint?
We can see you really clearly.
Hello, how are you? So like in terms of the venues that are available in Christchurch, they're really great for various uses, but it's not just something where just saying here's some money, make this particular space works. We need to have spaces that work for the artists. So, for example, I mean, what's a like, if this is going to be a space that's really awesome for outdoor performances and makes outdoor festivals really easy to do, there's no other venue in Christchurch that could fulfill that need. And in the meantime, it's really cheap and easy to get up and running. And it's going to add to the ecosystem of the Christchurch arts as well. So we're going to have more stuff happening here, and the more that happens, the better it is for the other venues around as well.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michael. I'll just hand over to Tim now for his question.
Thank you. It's great to see the support from the arts community, and I'm not going to be the Grinch. So, with regards to the figure of 2 to 4 million, we built a temporary stadium. So, I'll kind of roll my questions into one and see how you go. So, there's obviously really good support for this type of venue. So, why temporary? And portacoms can be shifted but last some time, etc., rather than temporary being, in my mind, a season, if you like. Wouldn't it, and that would cut down, I would presume, the operational costs, because anything temporary is temporary, so therefore it's more weather, open to the weather, etc. And if it's permanent and you've got different shows going through, there may be opportunity to have a overall naming rights sponsor, because let's be honest, everywhere needs financial support and it can't just be us. So I'm just saying, rather than temporary, would it, in a longer vision, it actually may be cheaper?
Yeah, I think by temporary, we don't really mean sort of one season. We're talking 5 to 10 years. Okay. So we want to build it in a way that's not going to fall apart in one season. It's going to be there for a few terms. The reason we're saying 5 to 10 years is because basically we want to do this as soon as possible. And for us, temporary is that sort of range, 5 to 10 years. And in 10 years we'll have, as Michael was saying, we'll have a whole new art scene. We'll have a lot of new people with new ideas, and maybe they'll be really happy with it and want to keep it and just do a little bit of work to make it a bit more permanent. It's just basically saying all we need to do a space like this is a relatively small amount of money. So let's not get fancy and go crazy. Let's just do it.
Keep to the key things, because the last question I've got, prior to the earthquake, we did a lot of shows, etc. in Cathedral Square, and it was a hub. But it sounds like, and we've got to be really clear on this with you guys, because you guys are it. It sounds like that if this may move on and the square may be a secondary, I don't know. I mean, because we've got to be careful where we spend our money. So why would we? I mean, we've just put a cenotaph in a performing area, so it's changed as well. So would this be the key area?
I'd say so. I mean, I'd say if we're looking also at our sort of lifetime for this as being 5 to 10 years, I mean, who knows how long the cathedral is going to take to be constructed, right? It could be 5 to 10 years.
Yep.
2027, we're told.
Hopefully.
Don't
that's
put
like the best possible opportunity. Yeah. Do you have anything to add, Michael, to that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, this is an opportunity for something really cheap to happen right now. You need to landscape this area, so just do a glorified landscape. Just make it a little bit better, and then we'll bring the party.
Thank you.
Because background to this, I think we haven't quite if you look at this diagram here, like the portacoms, there would be about 5 or 6 of those across. They're about $20,000 each. Gap Filler and other organizations have experience building amphitheaters for really, really low budgets. And then if you take those two out of the mix, all you've got is a bit of landscaping. You've got these Green Lab YO pods, which are also pretty minimal. We're just talking treated wood. You've got a bit of grass areas and you've got some planting. And then in exchange for that, you've got revenue from food trucks. You've got some pretty cheap rents just to sort of keep things ticking over. So yeah, we really tried to go for as just what we need and nothing more.
So you're basically
and if you think about things like the dancer mat, like that was like a stupid little like washing machine. You put $2 in. That was the best idea ever. Like when you go away from Christchurch, what do you think about it's the dancer mat is like one of the biggest icons for Christchurch, and it's like some cool things can be really cheap.
Yeah, so you're basically saying build it and we will come, and if we come, they will come. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds
Done
good.
Deal. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
So, the next one is